Hey guys, thanks for joining us. Today I'm here with Tia from the Tia TX YouTube channel. You may have heard of her. We've done a collab a few years back, and I'm excited to have her here today. Tia, how are you doing?
I'm good, yeah. Thank you so much for having me back on the channel, Ryan. As you said, we did a collab 2 years ago now, and a lot has changed since then. So it's been a while, and it'll be really cool to catch up.
Yeah, I'm excited to hear about what you've had going on with regards to like your online business. And I mean, hey, if you want to talk about, what else has been going on in your life too, I mean, feel free to share. It's great to reconnect though. And so how's business been? Like, how was 2023?
Yeah, sure. So just to introduce myself quickly, I'm an Etsy and Shopify seller from the UK. I first started on Redbubble and then moved on to sort of TeePublic and then started on Etsy, and now I'm on Shopify and Amazon, which hopefully Ryan will give me some tips on Amazon because I'm quite new to that. I'm also a part-time YouTuber, so I just sort of share my marketing experiments online as well. Um, I've sold on some of these smaller platforms. I think I'm probably more known for Redbubble and TeePublic. That's all from work that I've done years ago. I'm no longer actively uploading on those platforms anymore. I can talk about why later, but essentially it's just I wanted to focus more on branding. So yeah, Etsy is my highest revenue platform at the moment. My record last year was in December. I did 29K in 30 days. So I'm trying to top that this year. And yeah, that's who I am and what I do. Did you want to talk about Etsy tips specifically?
Yeah, and it's impressive that you did that while like being, a med school student, right? Do you share that publicly?
Yeah, I've shared it before in a few videos. It is a little bit stressful at times because I'm trying to balance traveling as well because they put us in different areas of the country on placements in hospitals essentially. So just balancing that with running the online business is always a struggle, but yeah,
Yeah,
I enjoy it.
that's super impressive. I know it's something that, most people, if not everybody watching, can relate to. So first and foremost, guys, I'm going to have Tia's channel linked at the top link in the description. Make sure to show her some love. Go check out her content. Tia, do you mind just like speaking to just a little bit like how you do find a balance? Because I mean, I'm impressed by the numbers you hit, that was just last month, while also, doing other things and prioritizing them, I'm guessing, over your Etsy shop.
Yeah, I mean, it definitely I definitely had a record year last year. It wasn't typical because I've been selling on Etsy for about 3 years now. Um, but yeah, I'll talk about the tips later. But essentially, I know that Ryan, you started a business as well while working your day job, and I think that it's kind of unrealistic for people to expect them to quit their day job or school or whatever and go straight into online business. So I think it's very much the same way that you managed that I did, is just prioritizing what you need to get first, and then when you have extra time, putting that into the online business or side hustles or whatever. And then once it gets to a level of income that can replace or even sort of outpace your current income, then that's when you decide more to focus on time on it, if that makes sense. So I didn't really focus that much time on it at the beginning. I was doing sort of very passive things like Redbubble and TeePublic, which you can really just leave it and forget it. But then once I moved on to Etsy, you definitely need to put more time into that because that requires fulfillment. And I started doing a lot of custom products as well, which, yeah, so that needs to be fulfilled and I need to make custom designs for each of those. So I definitely had to put in more time last year. So it's really just seeing where the money is and just following it, basically. That's pretty much, yeah.
No, I love that though as a probably like an underrated tip is for people just to never forget why you're doing what you're doing. Like this is like the internal monologue that I have with myself. I try to never lose sight of that. And my journey has been a story of like what you just said, like where is the money? Be respectful of that if your goal is to make money. You know what I mean? Because some people I think get lost in that. Like there are people who like probably make like way less than minimum wage selling like on Etsy and stuff like that. And it's like, if that's not working for you, maybe try something different or try a complementary approach. You kind of talked about Etsy plus Amazon and Shopify. And
Yeah,
yeah, those are some really great insights.
cool. Thanks.
So did you want to talk more about Etsy or you want to, maybe, I mean, I know most people who watch my channel, like I teach the complementary approach to print on demand where I don't just
Mhm.
want to be Etsy or just Amazon or, just Amazon merch or anything like that. I want to do like kind of all the above and find a happy medium to push all of them at the same time. Do you want to speak to kind of like how you're balancing them all?
Yeah, sure. So I talk about Etsy first and then how that relates to other
Clear.
things. So I've been selling on Etsy for about 3 years. I first started selling on Redbubble, as I said, and then I decided to move on to Etsy because it was more. Well, Redbubble was kind of, as a public company, going downhill at that time as well, as I'm sure you know. But I wanted to focus more on branding because essentially on Redbubble, the customers aren't really your customers, if that makes sense. Like, you don't have their email addresses or their contact information, whereas on Etsy you can actually see who the customers are and build a brand from that, and then that can lead into things like Shopify. And then what I do is like put brand inserts into some of my packaging so that people go to my Shopify store instead of buying from Etsy. So that was really the reason for the switch. But yeah, essentially what I did differently on Etsy last year was focus more on profit. So I calculated the shipping prices to look at sort of fit each country better, because before I was doing decent volume of sales, but not really having as much profit per sale. But I wanted to focus on that last Q4, and that definitely worked for me. Another thing was looking at the data a bit more rather than doing all the niche research. Like, I'm still doing niche research, but it's definitely decreased a lot more compared to just doubling down on what's worked for me, if that makes sense. So I would say, like, when I started, it was about 80-20, sort of 80 focusing on niche research and just experimenting, testing what kind of designs worked. Whereas now it's flipped the other way around. So it's definitely more looking at my data, my analytics from my dashboard, and Google Analytics is really good as well because it shows you what pages people are clicking on more. And then taking those keywords and making different designs, or making like, if it's a fixed design, I'll make a custom version of that. And that's been working really well for me. And I think that's what sort of helped me scale to over 10K a month, 29K a month last year. A lot more custom products. So I had a few custom products when I started, but it was more the fixed design stuff that sold at first. But now I'm noticing that the custom stuff is starting to sell a lot more. I'm not sure if that's because the sort of fixed design stuff is becoming more competitive over time, but yeah, I'm definitely focusing more time on custom products now. Outsourcing as
And that
well.
means
So
personalized. Sorry to cut you off. I was just
sorry.
curious, just to confirm. That means like you do offer like the personalization when you
Yes,
say
yeah.
custom. Just to okay, cool.
It's not a massive personalization. It's like, someone filling in their name or a date of an anniversary or something like that. It's just a small sort of low effort personalization. And another change that I've made is outsourcing that as well, because I noticed when I was doing those big months in December, I noticed that it was getting to like 50-60 orders a day, and I just couldn't handle it. So I had to get someone else to help me with that. And I've talked about that in my most recent video. I just got someone on Upwork to just help me like edit designs on Canva and then download them and put them on the print on demand products that need it, really.
That's awesome. Well, congrats on scaling to that point where you took on, some part-time help. And can I ask, like, when you involve somebody else into your business, like,
Mm-hmm.
to me, like with like kind of a IT like cyber background, I'm always like, the first thing is like red lights flash, like make sure that this isn't like a bigger risk than it's worth. Like, are you able to kind of integrate them into the workflow without giving them access to your Etsy account? Like maybe you can just add them as a user to your Printful account, Printify account, etc.
Yeah, absolutely. So what I've talked about in my most recent video is the security side of it. So obviously, like, looking at their reviews, checking that there's no red flags in their reviews. Obviously, you can see all of that on Upwork. And then when I hired them, I don't let them into the back end of my Etsy account, because that it can get you suspended immediately. Like, I don't. These are all people working from different areas in the world. So it's like Pakistan, the Philippines. So I definitely don't want to let them into the back end of anything. What I do is the emails that you get from Etsy when you've made a sale.
Right.
I have made another email that I forward those to.
Mhm.
So they're both Gmail accounts. And then I let the VA into the back end of that second Gmail account. So they don't have the original Gmail account, so they can't log into my Etsy account, but they have the forwarded emails. And then I also give them the password to my Printify and Printful accounts so that they can match up the customer information to the designs, basically. So that's how I do it. I really did have to design a system where they don't have to enter the back end of my Etsy account for security, as you said.
Nice. Yeah, I always get curious. That's like the first thing that
Yeah.
pops into my mind. I knew somebody who was like one of, if not the top, like kind of wall art and mainly posters Etsy seller in the UK, actually focused exclusively on the UK market. And
Okay.
he had like hired some VA, and like the VA changed his bank info on the Etsy account to try to get paid out to his own personal account. Yeah. And Etsy actually just like froze the account and like locked him out of it. So it was kind of good and
Yeah, that's
bad, but like actually
crazy.
it's kind of bad and bad, really.
Yeah. No, I've heard of some VA horror stories, really. Just like even Shopify sellers, like VA scamming customers and things like that. So yeah, always check the reviews, and always try and add them as a user. Like, don't give them the actual password and bank account access, I guess.
Yeah,
And
spend
also
as much
take their
time.
ID.
Yeah. Spend as
Yeah.
much time as you need to like learn how to like give the restricted rights, you know what I mean, for whatever it is, like Shopify, etc. I think that's great
Yeah.
advice. Yeah. And so with Etsy, I guess the other thing that I think when people start like they may, whether they knew you or not, now they're, you know, getting introduced to you and your story, your recent success. I know that kind of the question hierarchy usually involves next. If you don't mind sharing, like, are you now specifically a niche shop, like one niche or very like kind of micro niche down? Or are you just like whatever is selling, you just kind of offer it up?
So as I said before, I sort of split my time 80-20, and now it's flipped to 80-20 the other way, with me doubling niches that are working for me. So I can people come to my shop for. But it's definitely not like a single niche, like just one niche. There are a few sort of miscellaneous products that I have from just testing earlier on that are still in my shop that sort of people just buy here and there. But I would say it's about 5 or 6 niches that people specifically come to my shop for. And it's, yeah, I would say about 4 products as well, that I'm mainly selling. So I do sell a range of products. I don't just sell one type of product, but I think they make sense. So I have variations, and they are either different sizes or just something that makes sense, like a coaster and a mug.
Nice. Yeah, I was looking at, I did an Etsy shop review today. I actually just wrapped my Etsy shop review series, and it was episode 100. And I said after 100 episodes, I'm done. But this
Oh,
shop
nice.
was a yeah, it was a Christmas ornament shop, and they had done over
Okay.
1,000 sales in just a few months. And I was like, damn, you know what I mean? And it's just interesting how like one product type that's non-standard, I guess you could say, can really kind of vault you to that next level pretty quickly. But then now they
Yeah.
have to figure out what to do, you know, in the next year.
Yeah. Yeah, because ornaments, they sell really well in Christmas, I'm sure, but throughout the year, what are you gonna do?
Yeah, they don't have any other product types. What would you say to that person if
Yeah.
you had like if without seeing the shop, like they had 2 bestsellers and, you know, probably a couple hundred products, but like now what do you do? Like what do you pivot to for the next like 8 months?
I wouldn't say to pivot. Like, if it's worked for you, then it's going to work for you again next year. But also add in some products that make sense, like mugs and maybe like gift cards as well, gift wrap, because people are buying ornaments as gifts, right? So that would definitely make sense for you to add in, and it could be a bit more evergreen than just ornaments.
Nice. And do you mind just like if I ask about Etsy ads, like is that a big part of your strategy, or do you forego using them? What are your thoughts there?
Yeah, so before I made a video that sort of got like a good amount of views, and in that I was showing everyone how I wasn't using Etsy ads, so it was all SEO, it was all free traffic, and I was keeping all the profit, which is great. But since then, a couple of people, I've been talking to them, and they've convinced me to use Etsy ads. So I tried that out. I did also try it out with my digital shop, but I didn't really like the results from that, so I didn't continue using them. But yeah, I am currently using Etsy ads, and it's been okay for me. I think I'm currently getting about $3 profit back from what I'm spending, so I feel like that's okay. Even though it's sort of just break even or maybe slightly less, but the impact that it's having overall on my shop is boosting my organic sales as well. Yeah, and it's been a bit of trial and error with the Etsy ads because I noticed at the beginning, I just had like 10 products and I was doing $5 a day and I wasn't really making any sales. And then I noticed that the keywords that they sort of rank the ads for, there was too many keywords that weren't relating to my products. So I went in and switched those off. And that improved the results by marginally, but not that much. But then I basically waited, and then once each of the products got to 100 clicks, if the ROAS was below 2, I would just kill the ad and then get a new product in. And now I've tested to the point where I've got 10 products that I'm pretty happy about the ROAS with. So I'm just going to keep increasing the price. So I'm up to $15 a day now. So yeah, it'd be interesting to see where that goes, and maybe I can make a video out of it someday.
Yeah, I would love to see that video. For me, like I've had a kind of a love-hate-love relationship with Etsy
Right.
ads where I loved them when we could set our bids. And I mean, I
Yeah.
feel like I'm like a dinosaur for even talking about that because most people that see this probably don't remember that. And then they killed that one day, and all of a sudden I had like $100 a day budget set because I was like, well, my bids are capped. If I ever spend that much, I'm gonna be making so much money. And a couple weeks went by and I didn't even notice it. And they were spending like 60, 70 bucks a day and just
Oh
wasting my
no.
money. So,
Yeah.
but at a minimum for me, like I like to make sure that I enable ads on whatever is selling, like whatever, you know what I mean? How things kind of rotate. Um, Whatever's like generating sales now, I always want to advertise. And I'm not trying to say I'm the utmost Etsy ad expert. I love talking to people like you, getting people's opinions. But the way I see it is like somebody else is gonna like overtake my organic placement by running ads if I don't run ads. So I can at least like split the visibility with him on the ad spots and hopefully run up their, cost per click at my own expense. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
At a
no, that
minimum.
definitely makes sense. For me, I found that there's some products in my shop that sell well just because I've gotten a lot of traffic to them, so they'll sell well anyway. But then there's also some products that sell with a high conversion rate, so there's not that much traffic has gone to them, but they've still made sales. And those are the products that have worked best with Etsy ads, I think, because even when because the 10 that I chose initially to start my $5 a day on was just the best-selling products. But then I noticed that some of them didn't sell that well because the actual conversion rate, even though they've made a lot of sales, the actual conversion rate wasn't there compared to the other products. So yeah, maybe that's something you can try as well.
Speaking of conversion rate, do you ever try to like like offer maybe multiple products in one listing or multiple designs in the same niche in one listing? Kind of like Steven at Hello Custom. I feel like he probably was the one that talked most about that publicly to kind of boost your conversion rate by just offering more options in that one listing.
You mean like variations or like pairing up products?
Like it could be one design on maybe 4 or 5 different products, or like you can literally, it's a lot easier to do on like a Christmas ornament or something that just has the
Yeah.
one product type, and maybe putting like 4 different Christmas designs in one listing just as a SKU, like so in the drop down.
Yeah, no, I do that with some products. So I do variations of one design on different products, such as like, a mug and a coaster or different sized mugs, basically. And I also do ones where you can have a different design, like a birthday one, an anniversary one, or like different colors of designs. White and black mugs work pretty well as well. Um, but yeah, I found that works well, especially because it helps decrease the actual price that customers see in the marketplace. So if you have a less expensive product paired with a variation of a few more expensive products, you can show the more expensive product as your main image, but then the price that the customers see are still the lowest price product, so they'll click into it, and getting the click is like what you want. So yeah.
Yeah, and I'm completely for doing that. Like if Etsy didn't want that, then they could easily fix it, but they're
Yeah,
the reason
exactly.
why. Yeah, that's the
Yeah.
game that like they designed, and we just play the game.
Yeah.
So how does Amazon like kind of fit into the picture here? And when you say Amazon, Seller Central, right, or Amazon Merch, or both?
Amazon Seller Central. So I've been rejected from Amazon Merch quite a lot of times. I've just reapplied recently, so we'll see where that goes. But for now, it's Amazon Seller Central. So I've uploaded a few products just under generic, but I'm trying to get brand registered. So the thing about getting a US trademark when you're not a US citizen is that you have to get an attorney to help you with that in the US. So I'm currently working with this law firm. Um, the problem is that my brand name is quite I didn't think that it was similar to any other brand name, but then when they search for it, they always seem to find something like in any class of trademark.
Mhm.
So I'm on my third search now, and each search is costing me like $175.
Ugh.
So yeah, I'm just hoping that I can find a class at least, because what I want eventually, like my eventual goal for this is to have the brand name on Etsy and on Amazon so that when people search for it in Google, they can find my Shopify store and then become one of my customers essentially. Um, but then if the brand name is sort of similar to another one, I don't want to risk that trademark failing essentially. So I'm trying to just test different classes and see if they can find a class which my brand name isn't conflicting with anyone else's brand. But I'm still waiting for the result on third search, unfortunately.
Yeah, it's crazy. I had a family friend who's like a trademark lawyer, and he quoted me $1,000 to do the
Mhm.
the trademark research, just the research. And I was like, dude, you're like a family friend
Oh,
quoting me $1,000 to go to the USPTO website
yeah.
and type this in. Like that's so messed up. But he's rich. I don't think he wanted the work, honestly. He invented like I won't even say, but he invented like something they use in the NFL basically. So he's like,
Oh,
but
wow.
he's not gonna see this video, but shout out to you. You know who you are. He helped me. I used to be a kicker. But back to
Mm.
what I was saying, like I actually registered my first trademark for a brand registry in 2017, and it did not even matter that it checked every box in terms of like it wasn't related to anybody's brand. As soon as the number one retailer of the product that I had been selling on Amazon for 5 years decided to jump on Amazon, I got a letter from this like really expensive law firm saying that they were going to sue me because they didn't like my registered trademark. And I had no option but I mean, I hired this lawyer who was a good guy and like didn't
Yeah,
overcharge me to just waste their time for like over a year, basically.
right.
And I kept selling my products for over a year. And then I literally at the very end, like basically had to wave the flag, but I still sell these products on just under a different brand. And yeah, I don't want to hijack the conversation, but like it was just one of those things that's just like,
No, that's
oh,
interesting. Like, was it because your brand name was too similar to theirs, or was it just the same product?
it was that it like we're both multi-word names, and
Right.
mine had one word that they thought was representative of their products. So, it didn't
Oh,
really matter. They just weaponized the legal system and the fact that they had more money against me,
right.
you
Yeah,
know?
that's very unfortunate.
Yeah, I mean, so many people sell these products, yet I was the
Yeah,
number one seller, so I'm probably the only one that heard from them,
right, yeah.
is what it is.
Yeah.
So I love your strategy though. I mean, what you just said too, just to rewind, like you want the consistent branding across all marketplaces in case somebody remembers your shop on Amazon or on Etsy,
Mhm.
they do a Google search, and hopefully they find your Shopify store where you're gonna have the biggest
Yeah,
margins.
yeah. And you
It's a
can run
great
Google
strategy.
Ads as well for all, like, the different variations of your name as well, so, yeah.
Yeah, and how is can I just ask about the email list? Were you peeling the emails
Mhm.
from Etsy and adding them to a list that you could remarket to for Shopify?
I'm not doing that at the moment. I think there's a little bit of risk in doing that in the fact that if somebody sort of if it's customers that you know and trust will not like report you or anything, it's probably fine. But there will be some customers that are like, "Oh, why did you use my email for this?" And then that might put your shop at risk. That's just the thing that I'm aware of. But obviously, if you could do that, that would be ideal, wouldn't it?
Yeah, the Everbee email tool was, like, really impressive how they put it together, and it was compliant with everything that Etsy allowed, and
Okay.
Etsy people have been doing it for years. I mean, there were other
Hmm.
tools that were just probably less popular that were doing it for so long and not even truly adhering to the rules.
Okay.
And then you get, like, Everbee finally launches their tool, and, I mean, a bunch of people I think were talking about it. I know I did a video and I loved it, how they set it up. It was compliant. It made Etsy customers opt in, and if they didn't opt in, it wouldn't add them to the separate list to market.
Oh, okay.
So it was completely compliant. And then Etsy just said after like a month, they just said, we don't want you guys doing this anymore.
Yeah, I saw that email that from Etsy that was like, "We won't let third-party apps take emails from customers," or something like that, and, that was a bit strange.
Yeah, they waited to do it when somebody like invested all that time and money into doing it in a way that was compliant. Yet all these other tools,
Yeah,
you know what I mean,
yeah,
had been doing it for literally years. But it's just, I guess it is what
makes
it
no
is.
sense.
This is why Shopify though. So
Yeah, exactly.
how is Shopify and Amazon? Do you want to just talk that before we wrap?
Yeah, Shopify's doing all right. It's mostly customers that have bought from me before, and then I've put in the packaging insert, so it's like get 15% off at something.com. And then they go to the website and buy again instead of from Etsy because they see that the prices are slightly cheaper. Amazon, I'm obviously hiking Amazon for the moment because I'm trying to get brand registered. I believe you get some benefits with brand registry, but I want to sort of hold that off until I actually get the brand registry first.
So I have a quick story. Like I got a
Mhm.
trademark for basically like my POD brand. And by the time that the trademark went through, because you know how it takes like a long time, I did not use the IP accelerator that Amazon Seller Central offers that can kind of
Mhm.
expedite the brand registry. I had like my dad and my sister are lawyers, so I just had them do it as like a birthday present. But it took like 9-10 months or whatever.
Okay.
Um, by the time it was live, and this is already I had published a bunch of products. Like I had probably over 100,000 products, and I was so worried that like if I brand registered the brand that they're under and anything in their system is wrong, like it doesn't like, you know what I mean? Like if it doesn't recognize like them and me and them being the
Yeah.
same, I was like, oh my God, it'll undo 100,000 products that I've
Mhm.
manually pushed. So I literally just never used it. So I just own this trademark that I've never used. Well, it never in a useful way, I'd say.
Yeah, I know, like, Amazon is very particular about things. Like, they're not like Etsy that will just ignore you, but they do check, like, every single letter. Like, even when you're signing up to Seller Central, if, like, your name doesn't match the name on your, like, passport or something, then it's it just denies you. So, yeah, I guess that is one thing to watch out for.
Yeah, I heard that was because when they, like, opened the doors up to Seller Central, like, officially to just, like, the
Mhm.
whole world, that the opportunists that jumped on, like, right away, like, there were just so many
Yeah, there's gotta be a
ridiculous
lot of
scams.
scammers going on there. Yeah,
Yeah, it
exactly.
was insane. So, it was kinda crazy for, like, a year, year and a half,
Mhm.
just everything, as a seller, you would get met people abusing the buyer-seller messaging, trying to scam you, people running up ad bills on stolen credit cards, just crazy stuff.
Yeah. I can imagine.
Yeah. But that's cool. And then so yeah, so I guess so a big part of your 2024 um approach is going to be to really focus on establishing a true brand, and that's never bad advice, right? That's always going to be good advice to establish that brand identity, build a relationship with customers, and and from an SEO perspective, obviously great advice.
Yeah.
So is there anything else that you want to share about like what you're working on this year while also, doing the other thing that's incredibly impressive with med school?
Yeah, so obviously I'm just trying to sort of graduate and get through the exams. Probably hire some more people as well because I've already hired 4 people and I'm looking for another one just to like split up the different jobs. And a lot of people have asked like, why do you hire so many people? It's not like it'll be 4 times the amount of money that you're spending because you're splitting up the jobs between different people. So just outsourcing a little bit more, and so it takes up less of my time basically, so I can actually study. But yeah, just expanding, growing the Shopify, growing the Amazon, rather than trying to rely on Etsy because, as we all know, it can just shut you down at any time, basically. So yeah, that's pretty much it.
Yeah, I can definitely get behind that, and, oh, yeah, Walmart too, by the way, that was something I did last year.
Yeah.
That's worth doing in
How's
my
Walmart
opinion.
going?
I
Okay.
I just yeah, actually, I did not release the video, but it's gonna drop probably Monday of next week,
Mhm.
and depending on when this video drops, actually, it already dropped most likely, but,
Okay.
but my Walmart, sales report, so last year from nothing to something, so from 0 products listed, I made, I think it was like 100 and right around 150 sales total, and,
Okay.
about 800 and some dollars, between 8 and $900 profit, uh,
Okay.
and that was also with, like, the initial integration was only through Printify, and I list a lot of hats for sale on Amazon, so I just easy, it was like pivot those to Walmart, and
Yeah.
then Printify stopped selling or stopped fulfilling the embroidered hats. Their production partner stopped. So I literally manually pushed like who knows how many hundreds easily. And
Wow.
then I just had to delete all of them. So like that was also really kind of not working in my favor to do that
Mhm.
for a big Q4, knowing that those are like my most reliable product. in terms of like less competition too, you know, because I also list a
Yeah.
lot of apparel, and I had to delete all of them ahead of the fourth quarter. So like I don't know what, you know, my numbers would have been. That could have easily doubled it. But
Yeah.
now with the Printful integration, I'm just literally like, I hate doing things manually. I wish there was a better way. There probably is, but there is throttling on Walmart, so you can't just like fire up Merch Titans automation and run it all day.
Oh, okay.
It'll stop you. So
Yeah. So Walmart works not like Amazon Merch on Demand where they have the products already, but you have to connect Printify and Printful to it essentially.
yeah,
Yeah.
what's cool is like it's really the same thing of just like being in Printful or Printify and just pushing products. The
Yeah.
customer service I've found to be very like much less than Etsy,
Okay.
probably akin to Amazon. And the biggest thing is just like they want your product shipped out very quickly. I think you
Mhm.
can apply for a UPC exemption, which you have to basically do, and then a lag time exemption to extend the handling time. But I still think it gives you like 5 days, which sometimes, you know, our production partners can go over that. But for what it's
Yeah.
worth, I've never like felt like my account was going to get closed, you know, like I've definitely been
Right.
over the 5 days before, a little too often. And I still feel like everything seems like it's fine. So
Yeah, no, that's good to know because I know like when I set my production time on Etsy, I do 5 days just so it's like the customers see it, but then sometimes it takes like 7 or 8 days and then sometimes it takes like 2 days or it's shipped on the same day and I'm like this is so inconsistent. I don't really know what to put, but yeah, that makes sense.
yeah, I would definitely extend it on Etsy. I like
Yeah.
back in like 2018, I think, like someone booked a call with me and they were doing like 7 figures annually, like consistently, if not multi.
Okay.
It was this girl selling like jewelry and she had her whole like she had just a really impressive operation. Like literally she was like
Mhm.
boots on the ground, sourcing like high quality raw materials, had the designers. It was like a legit ass business. I was like super impressed. And Etsy was canceling her account. Like they were kicking her off the platform because she shipped like 5 orders too late. Like
Right.
Etsy's just a joke when it comes to that stuff.
Yeah. You have to keep an eye on it every day. It's so annoying, but it's just how it
Yeah.
is.
Yeah, they'll let people rip off like Disney and the NFL all
Yeah.
day, but if you ship like 5 orders late, they don't care how big you are.
Yeah, I know. It's yeah.
Cool. Well, thank you for spending your time. Like I know you're busy. We found
No
time to do
worries.
this on a Saturday.
Yeah, we
Everybody watching,
did.
hit the like button. We recorded on a Saturday. We deserve that like.
We
But thanks,
do.
T. I appreciate it.
No worries. Thank you for having me on your channel again.